2 years since I quit ARK and parted ways with SpaceCowboys, I felt the urge to once again play the game and possess that great power that being at the top of the food chain brings you. However, I no longer wanted to use the blessing that being a part of SC grants you. This time, I was truly going to test my skill at ARK Survival Evolved. This was the month of June 2020, and I had my new laptop coming in a few weeks, and in knowing that I was going to be starting this channel once again, I decided to wait until then to record the whole process as it began. With this time frame, I had roughly a fortnight of preparation. This includes not only getting myself ready, but gathering a tribe. As I no longer had my connections with anyone in SC at the time, this was going to have to be a collection of misfits. So I went to the PS4 communities and messaged anyone with any decent history in the game to see if they would be a good fit for my tribe. By the passing of a week, I had gathered somewhere between 30 to 40 people who had agreed to join the tribe, and to not risk being insided even more, I decided not to ask anyone else unless they seemed very capable. I informed everybody that they would have some time to tame and gather gear before we all came together, so everybody was left playing the game solo for a couple weeks in hiding on various official servers. Continuing the legacy of my past, my solo journey lied on 403. I found a small spot behind a rock to build a 2x1x1 stone base to live in for a bit. This is where I crafted, cooked, stored general items, and kept dodos to gather eggs for kibble. All good items were kept in upload when I was offline, and I kept my few dinos in there too, such as a few low level PTs. This kept me well to have basic preparations, but I craved bigger and better so soon. With this, I joined two others who were playing together that had found an indie forge belonging to another tribe. I transferred over to that server, carrying over my dinos and gear to meet up with them, and we formed a small trio to last the remaining week. We built a small metal base with turrets behind the waterfall in the desert on Ragnarok to be our home for a little while. But this week we tamed, farmed CP and farmed metal. We were preparing for a huge base to start the new tribe off with, so we had our work cut out for us. However, due to how many structures we would be making, I decided to store them offshore. I flew to the southwest islands on Ragnarok and built a small 1x1x2 metal structure in the water with storage for these structures and personal gear. This meant that when our base inevitably got raided after a few days, I was still in possession of that which I had worked for. The day I had planned for passed, and I had still not started the tribe, for I had not yet the ability to record. In delaying only a few days, almost everybody was either unresponsive or uninterested. I had very few people to help me now. In hindsight, this is what would have changed every preceding event. Had I not been adamant on recording the experience for this very video, I may have had such a large tribe at my disposal that our progress would have been almost instantaneous. Alternatively, it could have also been the downfall, for insiding is rampant in the game. The only reason I was skeptical of it occurring was because it's a long shot to inside a newly established tribe. And just like that, my journey seemed all but over before I'd even begun. Still wanting a tribe with me, I quickly scanned through the PS4 communities once more and stumbled upon an interesting post. Somebody's tribe of around 10 people had been raided, and they were looking to start again with these members and more. I hit him up and we talked for a while before he agreed to have his tribe join us. And this is where I met my tribe mates. They joined the server I was on and we merged gear and resources. However, deciding that the server was too populated for us to reside, we gathered everything up and left to another random Ragnarok server. And with that, the new tribe begins to rise from the dirt, where the ashes remain from the building of the old SC base on 403. The Desert Plat is the home of the new base. Placing down the foundations, releasing our teams and setting everything down, progress initiated. Firstly, we started with the foundations, seeing as we already had the full 400 of those required for a 20 by 20. Knowing that we lacked some of the walls and any of the ceilings for the base, we also set up a plentiful amount of refining forges to smelt the metal ore for those new structures that we would need. Eventually, we managed to set up an industrial forge to increase efficiency and get rid of the eyesore of refining forges. Thus, members had jobs to work on the exterior structure of the base, which was planned to be a massive 20 by 20 by 12 metal behemoth of a base. One individual was tasked with scouting the server in search of rival tribes attempting to build up, or big tribes that we should be wary of. He found essentially no sign of anything noteworthy, apart from one base located in the exact same location that I had hit when I was preparing with my two other tribe mates. There was a couple teams outside, such as a mammoth, so we thought it was worth raiding for a quick fix of resources and maybe some blueprints. It did have some metal and CP that we used for our walls, so it ended up being a successful side mission. We brought the loot back, got back to work, and our scouts continued searching. However, they weren't the next of my tribe mates to have eyes on a potential threat. At the foot of the Desert Plat is a decent sized forest with a lake, which makes for a quick place to farm wood. In one of the wood runs to smelt metal, we saw in the distance two manners, just chilling. That indicated to us that they were likely bigger, so we didn't want to get into a fight with them. We essentially had two options because of that. Either we sit in our base ready and hope they don't find us, or we negotiate. Given that they were literally at the foot of our base, it only made sense to go and speak with them. With that, I hopped on a very low level PT and flew down to speak with them personally. I informed them that we were friendly and not going to attack them, with which they responded to something similar. Thus, we were now neutral with a tribe we presumed was bigger than us. But during our conversation with them, there were a few other people in global chat also trying to speak to us. They were being very disorderly and toying with people in chat, which to me seems like arrogance. Arrogance does tend to have a reason, and usually in ARK's case, that reason comes from power. I inquired with one in PlayStation messages and uncovered that they were from a tribe called That Ain't That. I had no idea who they were, but it did sound like a mega tribe, and they were inevitably going to be new mega tribes since I had once known them all. Furthering the conversation, they stated that they were there just for taming colours during an event after recently wiping the server, which they claimed was once an SC server. So that meant we were on a completely fresh server. This did actually make sense, given that we saw no sign of any rival tribes or life before us. Because of this, we were in fact the biggest tribe set up on the server after only a few hours being present. Thus, I was leading and had started an alpha tribe in a single day. After my friendly conversation with That Ain't That, we continued taming, raising, and building. Eventually, the exterior walls of the base had been completely built, and the tribe was hard at work on the roof, alongside defending the base with turrets and increasing our dinosaur collection. It was closing in on the morning, and so I was about to go log off and go to sleep. But just before I did, one of the people who were going to join originally messaged me and told me that they had multiple people who wanted to join this tribe. Now that I actually had something to lose, I was hesitant, but I did reluctantly agree and add him to the tribe. I gave my final order of the day to a now enlarging tribe, letting them know to continue on finishing the base as they were and not getting into any trouble. For the first time in a couple years, I woke up with that feeling of dread, wondering if my work was lost. However, to my great surprise, there was no death message when I returned. I lived. We made it past the first day, although something was off. There were almost no dinos present where they once was. The ceiling had been built, but some of it was missing, and large strips of the wall were no longer there either. I asked if we had been griefed, but no. I was informed that we had survived the night fine, but the missing structures and dinos was of our own doing. My tribe was packing everything up and moving to another server where one of their members had an ally. This decision was not verified by myself, despite being the leader. I had no lack of control throughout playing the whole day prior, but it suddenly occurred when I was gone overnight. This was likely due to more than half of the tribe being from the same tribe before I was in the picture, so they're used to making decisions without my input. I was invited to join them still, so it's not like I was overthrown. In the end, I didn't accept their invite. I stopped playing once more. So that's where my end of the story concludes as I part ways with those people. I don't know how they did without me, but I do know that my contribution was the biggest there. I do know that I was the most equipped to run that tribe given my experience, and that we would have made it further than we did. But you know what? I'm happy. In a matter of hours, I started an alpha tribe. The biggest tribe on an ARK official PS4 server. With that, I answered my questions and doubts revolving my time at SC. Did I deserve to be there? Was I worthy to use their backing? Could I get to the top with nothing but my skills and wit? I think this experience answered those for me. I was tested and trialed, and I came out victorious. So, if I truly was skillful enough to run official ARK servers on PS4, then what's the next challenge for me? A test. A test measuring greater than just strength. A test yet to come. Maybe in a story for another day.